Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to be going over the study guide for rocks and minerals. Remember, this is over minerals also. And then you'll be completing the rest of the blend space. We want to start with going over the study guide. Number one was, what is the difference between intrusive and extrusive rock? And the answer of that is that extrusive rock is formed from lava, which is above the surface. Think of the word exiting, like it's going out of the earth. And magma, which is below the earth's surface, forms intrusive rock. Think of the prefix in as in inside the earth. Number two, most metamorphic rock forms, and it was really wanting to know where, so forms very deep underground and after it's been exposed to a lot of heat and pressure. Number three, by looking at a rock's texture, geologists determine what about rocks? They can determine the rock's size, shape, and pattern of the grains. Number four, what are the characteristics of minerals? Now remember, this is minerals, not rocks. And those were those 5 characteristics that we talked about often and did the foldable on. It was that they needed to be naturally occurring, inorganic, they needed to be solid. I'll move that up. They needed to have a crystal structure, and they needed to have a definite chemical composition. And remember, again, those were the 5 things that a mineral must have in order to be classified as a mineral. Don't be confused with the properties that we use to identify what mineral we're looking at. That would have been those like the most hardness test, the streak, color, luster, and so on. What is the difference between foliated and non-foliated? And this is with rocks. It's foliated means that they have parallel lines, the grains, they line up in the rock to form bands, specific bands of different minerals that the grains line up and they form parallel lines, where non-foliated does not. There's no shape to how the grains line up. Number 6, the process in which dissolved minerals crystallize and glue sediments together. Think of things coming together and hardening. This is known as cementation. Think of the root word cement in there. It's like if something's cemented, it's glued together. Number 7, who studies Earth's surface and its changing shape? Well, that's a lot of different types of scientists, but they're all categorized as geologists, the study of Earth. Number 8, luster is the term used to describe a mineral's reflection of light. So how a mineral reflects light. And remember those luster words that we were using when we did the lab. Glassy, waxy, pearly. Number 9, what's the softest mineral on Mohs hardness scale? That is talc. It's a 1. Remember, it's also used to make baby powder. And number 10, what's the hardest mineral? It's a diamond. Nothing is harder than a diamond on the scale. Number 11, what minerals are found in the following items? Well, these are some of your common household items. Table salt is made from halite or halite. Talcum or baby powder is from talc. A diamond ring, we use diamonds. Pencils, there's graphite in pencils. Those are also used for like tennis rackets. And then toothpaste, fluorite and calcite. Number 12, igneous rocks. Now, igneous rocks all formed from molten lava. molten material, either lava or magma, but they are classified by where they form. Do they form on top of the Earth's surface or underneath the Earth's surface, and what type of magma forms them? Okay. Number 13, sedimentary rocks are classified again by how they form. Do they form from different rock pieces that have broken off and then layer up? And what they're made of. What types of materials are layered in there to make those? Are they other rocks? Is it living plants and organisms? Was there a chemical reaction? Number 14, metamorphic rocks are classified by the composition. What are they made from? And the texture. So did those grains line up in bands, in parallel lines? Or did they not? Are they foliated? Are they non-foliated? Number 15 goes back to minerals. Streak is a mineral identification test used to determine the color of the powder that's left behind on the ceramic tile. And remember that this can often be different than the color of the mineral itself. Number 16, this was a matching exercise. You were just supposed to match the sedimentary rock to the correct definition. So number 16, organic, that was made from plants and animal remains, something that was once living. 17, clastic, that forms when rock fragments are squeezed together and pressed down hard, but just different pieces of rock pushed together. 18 is chemical. Chemical, it forms when those minerals that are dissolved in a crystal and crystallized in a solution from groundwater. Those minerals line up, and when that groundwater comes in contact with them, they crystallize, and cementation occurs and forms the sedimentary rock. Number 19, in a mineral, the particles line up in a repeating pattern. Remember that repeating pattern is one of those qualities that we use to identify a mineral, and that's its crystal structure. And number 20, these were drawn very quickly, so hopefully yours look better than mine, but draw and label a picture of fracture and cleavage. Remember, that's how a mineral would break. Think of your bone. Cleavage, if your rock is over here, cleavage, it's relatively flat and easily broken. That would be cleavage. Fracture, think of when you break your bone, you fracture your arm or something. It's a jagged break. So it's not an easy break. Number 21, the process by which sediments settle out of the water or wind carrying it. So when it settles after the erosion, it's called deposition. Think of deposit. When you deposit something, it settles there. It stays there. Kind of like when you deposit money in a bank, it settles at the bank. It stays at the bank. It doesn't continue to move. Number 22, what's the most common type of intrusive igneous rock? That is granite. Granite. Intrusive. Now, extrusive, you would have basalt because of the ocean floor.
Attention teachers, prayer warriors are now meeting in Ms. Irvin's room.
Number 23 says, draw and label the rock cycle. This is not on page 95, it's on page 71 in your text. We'll be going over that in class, but if you do have questions about your rock cycle diagram, please refer to page 71. There is a great example of the rock cycle. I'm going to show you a quick animation of the rock cycle going through. We talk about weathering and what weathering is, which begins, erosion. But weathering, there are many different causes of weathering. Acid rain is one of them. Biological weathering occurs as well when things grow. And you can see these rock fragments breaking down into smaller pieces. Then erosion would come along, wash these things away. Whoops, sorry. Okay. After weathering occurs and they're broken away, erosion, like I said, washes them away. They settle somewhere, and that's called deposition. These rock fragments are transported by rivers. Some of them get taken away. You can see the little particles in there, and they come down and they settle. They reach the sea. They sink. When they reach the bottom over thousands of years, they start building up. This doesn't have to happen just at the sea, but the pressure of the layers, they cause those fragments to get pushed together. And that starts forming a sedimentary rock. Metamorphic rock, you can see all these layers that have built up over millions of years. And that heat from magma, it goes through the rock and it builds up layers, and it causes pressure on them, and it causes the rock particles to compress together. That's compaction. Even more compaction than they've already gone through. Okay, and as they get pushed down into the earth, that they are exposed to that extreme heat and pressure and become a metamorphic rock. Now, intrusive igneous rock, again, means inside. That's when that hot magma moves through the rocks. And when the magma reaches, the surface, it cools. And the magma underneath the ground can cool, and it crystallizes. So those are intrusive rocks that form inside the earth. And then extrusive rocks, volcanoes erupt and they cause that magma to come out and spill onto the earth's surface. Those happen externally, that's extrusive. And as they cool, different ones cool differently at different rates and form different types of extrusive rock. But you can see the different rock formations. Here it comes through here, spills out onto the earth's surface, and eventually that is lava, not magma. It cools slowly, and as a result forms those rocks. Okay? If you have any questions related to the study guide, please, please, please don't hesitate to ask. We will be looking at things a little bit closer throughout the period, and if you have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you. Make sure you study. Watch this again if you need to, and good luck on your test.